On today's video, we are doing a dive into one of the most popular and best neighborhoods in the Twin Cities. It is a doozy, and I could probably make different videos for each little sub-neighborhood within this neighborhood. But for now, we're just gonna do one big one that encompasses all of them, and then maybe I will dive into all of them independently. And that neighborhood is Calhoun Isles. You might hear it called Uptown. That's a bit of a misnomer. Uptown is just sort of one of the areas within Calhoun Isles, but I might even just call it Uptown because more people are probably searching Uptown than they are Calhoun Isles. But nonetheless, let's jump into this video. How's it going, y'all? My name is Jesse Lynch. I'm a real estate agent here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, and this YouTube channel is devoted to two things. First of which is teaching people about the ins and outs of real estate, and the second which is showing off this amazing place that I live, the Twin Cities of Minnesota. So if either of those two things appeal to you, do us both a favor and subscribe to this channel, click the little bell to get notified, and follow me on Instagram at Jesse Lynch Realty. You might recognize that spoon with a cherry on it from every blog ever written about the Twin Cities. And yeah, it's in all of them. So I apologize on behalf of every blog writer who has to put that thing in it. Okay, so like I said at the very beginning, this is a virtual tour of one of the absolute best neighborhoods in the Twin Cities. And again, it's huge. It has so many sub-neighborhoods and just all sorts of nuance to it. So I'm gonna do my best in this video, but I might have to go through and do breakdowns of every individual sub-neighborhood in another video, but I might have to go through and do new videos for each sub-neighborhood just because there's so much going on here, and it really is a great spot. I've lived in different neighborhoods throughout this area a bunch, and it is excellent. So with no further ado, let's dive in to this video. Okay, so geographically, the Calhoun Isles neighborhood is defined to the south by 36th Street, to the west by France Avenue, to the north by Bassett Creek, more or less, and to the east by Lyndale Avenue. Right now, I am in the Kenwood neighborhood, which is truly a beautiful neighborhood in Minneapolis. Without a doubt, one of the most sought after neighborhoods in all of Minneapolis. Some of the best schools, the most beautiful houses, the best parks. Lake of the Isles is in Kenwood, and basically, if you end up in Kenwood, you can't go wrong. It is a beautiful spot and truly, truly one of the best sub-neighborhoods in one of the best neighborhoods in all of Minneapolis. All right, I'm gonna walk over to the park right now. Kenwood Park is right here. Beautiful park, truly beautiful park. tennis courts, baseball fields, soccer fields. It's amazing. Okay, so Calhoun Isles is made up of 9 sub-neighborhoods, all of which sort of have souls of their own, and truly all of which could be deserving of a virtual tour. Someday down the line, I'll probably do something like that, but for now, there's a lot to get through. Okay, I'll be honest, I can't remember all these by heart and sprout them out. So these neighborhoods are Bryn Mawr, Cedar Isles Dean, East Calhoun, East Isles, Kenwood, Lowry Hill East, South Uptown, and West Calhoun. And now while they're all different, right? They all have kind of their own vibe, if you will. Kenwood, definitely like beautiful single family homes, maybe the occasional duplex or fourplex or something like that. But overwhelmingly, it's single family houses that are all beautiful and very well maintained. Okay, this is all kind of complicated, and I have to admit that I don't really usually refer to all these sub-neighborhoods, right? It's just not a thing that I do, but I think it's helpful if you find yourself looking for a home and you're talking about a certain sub-neighborhood, well, then this will be valuable. So I'm gonna reference this map as I walk through Kenwood, and I'm gonna kind of talk about each sub-neighborhood. And I'm gonna bunch these into a few things. Okay, so Bryn Mawr, Cedar Isles Dean, Kenwood, and South Uptown, I would say all generally a little more of a neighborhood vibe, right? Kind of like what I'm standing in right now, where single family homes, beautifully maintained, historic single family homes at that, and not a whole lot in the way of rentals or apartment buildings or that kind of thing. But South Uptown, East Calhoun, Lowry Hill East, Uptown, and Lowry Hill, those are all kind of a combination, right, of single family homes and also multifamily homes and commercial, okay? The aforementioned, very little commercial, if any commercial spaces at all in those neighborhoods. But right along Hennepin, Lyndale, Lake, and Franklin, those are some of the biggest commercial hubs, and also large sections of France Avenue as well. So if a goal of yours is to be close to shops and restaurants and bars and commercial spaces, then those are the roads that you're going to want to be close to. Again, Hennepin, Lyndale, Lake, Franklin, and France. But I will say that most people aren't trying to live in the Calhoun Isles neighborhood just because there's commercial spaces nearby. In fact, quite the opposite. It is the outdoor spaces that really draw people to this area and that really raise the value. I think out of all the neighborhoods in the Twin Cities, there are none with a greater variety than Calhoun Isles. Calhoun Isles is a huge blend of single family homes that are beautiful, that are owned by pretty wealthy people, and then also pretty affordable apartments, sub $1,000 apartments that are walkable to jobs or also, you know, nightlife or entertainment or that kind of thing. Okay, right behind me is Calhoun Square, and Calhoun Square is the center of the Uptown area. And it's weird, Uptown isn't technically one of the neighborhoods, but if you say Uptown, people almost ubiquitously will think you're talking about the entirety of the Calhoun Isles area. But realistically, Uptown is actually a pretty small area, all things considered. I think it's 26th Street to 32nd Street and maybe Lyndale to Hennepin. It's not that huge, but it is a very trendy area nonetheless, and people end up calling Uptown like this whole area, right? So what would make somebody actually want to live in the Calhoun Isles area? It might not seem like it right now as I'm in the heart of Uptown, but probably the best thing that Calhoun Isles has going for it is the outdoor space. After all, Calhoun Isles is named after 2 lakes and a little bit of history. It's no longer called Lake Calhoun, now it's called Bede-Makaska, but still they call the neighborhood Calhoun Isles. It's a little complicated, but hey, what are you gonna do? And again, Bede-Makaska is the largest lake in all of Minneapolis. And again, Lake Calhoun is a beautiful lake. It's the biggest lake in Minneapolis and probably one of the most popular destinations for people who live in Minneapolis to go outside and spend some time in nature. Another thing that Calhoun Isles really has going for it is that it's probably the most convenient neighborhood in all of the Twin Cities, and the most complete in the way that it has everything you would ever need. I said this in my Uptown versus North Loop video, but I think you could spend your whole life in this area and you'd have everything you ever need. And I don't think that I can say that for basically any other neighborhood in the Twin Cities. Calhoun Isles is also extremely conveniently located. It's about as central as you can get without literally being central downtown. It is beautifully maintained, very well cared for, and that extends not only from the public spaces and the commercial buildings, but right into all the single family homes. I think that the Calhoun Isles neighborhood has more beautiful and well-maintained single family homes than any other neighborhood in all of the Twin Cities. I think it's safe to say that the Calhoun Isles neighborhood has more beautiful, classic, historic, well-maintained homes than any other neighborhood in the Twin Cities. Okay, right now I'm on a walking path at Lake of the Isles. It's a beautiful lake. It's the lake between Lake Calhoun and Cedar Lake. And you know what, I thought of one final pretty big pro for the Calhoun Isles area, and that is schools. Usually that's where I start. That is definitely a big positive for Calhoun Isles. So what are some of the negatives? I'm gonna say, start off right away, expensive, right? It's probably the most expensive neighborhood as far as single family homes go in the entire Twin Cities, but that shouldn't come as any surprise when it's the most convenient and has excellent schools. And as you probably saw in that last clip, it's kind of chaotic. There's a lot going on, very specifically within the confines of Hennepin Avenue to Lyndale Avenue, and then Lake Street to Franklin. Right in there is where most of the stuff is happening, most of the commercial stuff, and just the hustle and bustle is right there. So as you can get away from those things, you'll find that things start to calm down quite a bit. Like you see here, I mean, there's people everywhere, but I wouldn't say it's chaotic, right? If you watch my North Loop versus Uptown video, then you know that like right at the core of Uptown at Calhoun Square, it starts to get a little bit like clubby. And if that's not your thing, then just stay away from right around there. That's where the most like chaos and sort of party vibe is. So once you get away from there, that goes away very quickly. Okay, and then the last con for the Calhoun Isles neighborhood is the traffic. And a big part of that is the construction that's currently going on. The Lake Street exit from 35W is closed. That's like the main thoroughfare to get there. So there's fewer and fewer routes that a person can take. And so they all sort of bottleneck all at the same place, which is basically Lyndale and Hennepin and kind of 35th and 36th Street. Let's go for a ride, shall we? All right, y'all, right now I'm in Bryn Mawr Park, and if I'm being quite honest, I had no idea that this was even technically part of the Calhoun Isles neighborhood, because right back here is 394, which is a pretty main highway, and this is the only neighborhood on the north side of that highway. I truly had no idea that Bryn Mawr was technically part of Calhoun Isles, but it is a very sought after neighborhood. Right now I'm in Bryn Mawr Park, which has soccer fields, baseball fields, a basketball court, a playground, batting cages, got the works, right? And right here is downtown Minneapolis. So pretty cool park. It's got a view of downtown and a little bit of road noise. I don't know if you can hear that on here, but for sure you can hear trucks on 394 and that kind of thing. The neighborhood's behind me. It's a fairly small neighborhood, but it does have some of the nicest houses in all of Minneapolis in it. And a big part of that is Theodore Wirth Parkway. The interesting thing about that is that not very much of Theodore Wirth Parkway is actually in the Bryn Mawr neighborhood. However, it is a huge driving factor in what brings people here to live in Bryn Mawr. And that being said, if you find yourself thinking about living in Bryn Mawr or any other neighborhood in Calhoun Isles, do us both a favor and get a hold of me. I promise my team and I will take the best care of you, and by the time you end up buying a house here, you will feel as close to possible as an expert on whatever neighborhood it is that you decide to live in, whether that be Calhoun Isles or any other neighborhood in the Twin Cities. I promise I got you, and I'll take the best care of you. So do whatever you gotta do. Call, text, email, leave me a message on my website, DM me on Instagram, DM me on Facebook, any of those things, you will get a hold of me, and I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to meeting you, and I look forward to showing you around. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.